Recent events in Iran have caused heightened concern of the potential for a cyber attack in America. I'm Yvette Essen for CyberCube, and I'm joined by Darren Thomson, Head of Cybersecurity Strategy for CyberCube, to talk about a recent report we've written about this topic. So, can you tell me, first of all, these concerns about an attack from an Iranian base, why are these news events causing such a concern?
Well, cyber security and cyber risk are now recognised around the world as some of the biggest risks that we have to deal with as a species on this planet. And so any shift in the political landscape, by definition, is likely to have an effect on that risk. In particular because many of the attacks that we've seen over the last decade or so, or many of the most major ones, have been in some way state nation sponsored and financed. So the Iranian incidents of the past couple of weeks lead cybersecurity strategists like myself to make links between the potential for digital risk and the political activities of the Middle East.
Are the concerns justified? I mean, does Iran have much of a history with regards to cyber attacks?
Yeah, so Iran and the Iranian state and cybersecurity kind of go hand in hand to an extent. For the past decade, we've seen both attacks from Iran and people claiming to be linked to the Iranian system on, for example, some of the Saudi oil refineries in recent years. We've also seen attacks on Iran. Probably the most high-profile and famous of the industrial control system attacks, Stuxnet, was essentially an attack on a nuclear power facility in Iran. And so we have to draw some conclusions that retaliatory type action could come from those sorts of events as well.
You've mentioned there are a couple of examples of previous attacks, but what form might an attack take now, and are there particular targets that could be affected?
Well, we have to base our future assumptions on history. The Iranian attacks that we've seen before have been in some ways very similar to many of the other nation-state sponsored attacks that we see around the world. A heavy reliance on phishing and email, in particular to source credential information from the targeted organizations. We also see a reliance on what we call living off the land technique. That's something that cyber criminals will do to fool us into thinking everything's okay on our system whilst we're being attacked. Essentially, living off the land is making use of the tools that you and I have on our computer systems, but using those tools against us. It makes it harder for us to detect those kinds of attacks because, of course, those tools should be there. And so it's very hard to detect that those tools are behaving badly.
So, in the event that there is something that's going to happen that's horrific, what should companies be doing to prepare themselves?
Well, the normal rules apply, the normal conditions really apply. We would suggest, though, particularly focus on email and social networking, and that means your people as well as your technologies. Train your people, enable your people to defend themselves effectively in times of particular risk. But email is definitely a favoured attack surface for these types of attacks that we sort of predict, and so stand up email defences, train your people effectively against phishing. Also, build comprehensive strategies for this kind of stuff. This is not just about technology. People at every levels of the organisation should be involved in a cyber resilience program, and that means adopting perhaps a different posture when it comes to the culture of an organisation, the processes that organisation relies on, as well as the technologies that can be used to mitigate that kind of risk. We also at CyberCube believe that comprehensive security strategy is not just about mitigating risk with tools and technology, it's also about transferring or sharing that risk via insurance products as well. So we think that CISOs across the organisations that could be targeted in this way should definitely be considering that comprehensive approach.
CyberCube's report looking at the potential consequences of an Iranian attack can be found on cybercube.com. For CyberCube, I'm Yvette Essen.